Happiness is one of those topics that get talked about a lot. Probably because it's such an elusive thing. It's so subjective, and everybody has their own opinion of what happiness means to them, right? Some people believe that material stuff is going to do it for them. It's going to bring them more joy. It's going to make them experience life at a whole nother level. Some of the people feel like is their relationships. If they had that perfect partner, if they had the perfect family, that will bring happiness to their lives, and it's going to make a huge difference in how they feel about themselves and everything around them. And therein lies the problem, because in this society, we believe that happiness is external. Like things outside of us is what's going to do the trick for us. That if we acquire more things, that if we get better relationships, that we're in better environments, that we get a better job, that we have more time off, that we have a bigger family, whatever it is, that is actually going to change what's inside of us. Happiness is actually a choice, and that's the first secret I want to share with you today. See, we hear it a lot, but for some reason it just doesn't click with us, and I'll tell you why that is. Because the brain is always focusing on what's missing. It somehow excludes everything that we have, everything that we've been able to accomplish up until today, and it goes to work on finding what's missing. What is the next thing? What is the next step? What is the next goal? What is the next thing that is going to do it for us, that is going to make us happier, that is going to give us that jolt of joy, or that, you know, quick high or whatnot. I'm gonna tell you a little story about the time when all this stuff started clicking in my head, which is when I started realizing that happiness was actually a choice. And my dad had come up for a couple of weeks on vacation, and he was staying with us. And we got to talk a lot about all these topics. You know, my dad has always been someone who has been very involved in self-development. And, you know, in one way or another, I've always been involved in it because of him. He's always been, you know, talking about it around me and giving advice, you know, based on self-awareness and other things. And we had a lot of conversations around all these topics during his time up here, and you know, one of them was the concept of happiness. And he probably saw you know, certain signs in me that I, you know, was focusing too much on what was missing, and he's just started, you know, the conversation there and making me see, you know, everything that I had accomplished up until that moment, and you know, where I lived, and you know, the type of job that I had, etc. And just started, you know, giving me some perspective, you know, around the things that I already had. And the thing that pretty much cemented the whole thing in my head and what made it click was the fact that the day he left, I took him to the airport, and when I came back home, he had printed out in black and white a bunch of the pictures that we took during the 2 weeks that he was here, and placed them in different places that he knew that I would see eventually, like, you know, my socks drawer, or, you know, in my office, or inside my computer, or on my nightstand inside my book. And every single one of these pictures, as I started finding them around the house, they all had a message written on them, and most of them had a message saying, happiness is within you. Happiness is your choice. And that was the first time that, you know, based on all the conversations that we had, and him leaving that message behind that I still have, you know, with all these different pictures that kind of like emotionally connected the message to our experience together, is what started making the shift in my head, right? It wasn't until many years later that I actually consciously started saying to myself, I choose to be happy right now, and I'm gonna stop focusing on what's missing in my life. That's when everything started changing. I started experimenting things completely differently because I had a different perspective about life, about what I was doing for a living, about, you know, my goals, my relationship, the place I lived at, etc. Everything started taking a whole new dimension in my head and started making me feel fulfilled, because I no longer was focusing on what was missing, and I was starting to focus on what I had accomplished up until today, or that moment, and everything that I already, had present in my life, right? That I was paying no attention to, literally, just because my brain was too focused on what was missing. So I want to encourage you to take a moment to look at your life right now and see what's present around you in your relationships, your job, your family, your material stuff. Just look at everything that you have right now. Now go back to a time when you didn't have what you have right now, when everything that you have today was exactly what was missing, right? Do you see that gap? You see how you were able to accomplish many of the things that you thought were missing, but you yet still feel like there's more to accomplish. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not asking you to settle for what you have and don't have goals and don't go for more things. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm telling you is that you, by choosing happiness today with what you have right now, you literally dissolve the feeling of misery because you don't have that next car that you want or that bigger house that you dream of, etc., right? You just want to consciously acknowledge the fact that you're happy today because everything that you have right now is something that you accomplished, okay? It's something that you one day was missing and now it's not. So you choose to consciously be present in this moment with what you have and be happy, okay? And then, the goal is to stay happy, stay with that feeling until you reach the next goal. But you're not gonna be miserable from today until you hit the next goal, right? That's what we're trying to avoid. What we're trying to do is for you to learn to reprogram your mind to be happy in the moment with what is got in the moment, with whatever the situation, whether good or bad, okay? So all I want you to do is repeat to yourself, I choose to be happy in this moment. I choose to be happy in this moment. I choose to love my life. I choose to love my job. I choose to love my family, my material stuff. I choose to love and enjoy what I have right now while I work on, the next step. But right now, you have a choice to be happy. Your brain is not allowing you to be that way, to feel that way, because it's programmed to look at what's missing. Now what you're doing here and your job is to turn that around and reprogram your mind just by simply reminding your mind that you are choosing to focus on this moment and to feel great about it, okay? And it doesn't take very long. Probably after 3 or 4 days of repeating that sentence or those concepts to yourself, I choose to be happy in this very moment. I choose to love my life. I choose to love where I'm at. I choose to love my town. I choose to love my car. I choose to love my house. I choose to love my relationships. I choose to love, everything that's happening to me, good or bad. I take it all in and I'm happy for it, okay? Just repeat that to yourself, and I promise you that after 3 or 4 days, throughout the day, things are gonna start popping and you're gonna remember that sentence or that affirmation, if you will, or whatever you wanna call it. That is a goal with this exercise, okay? So choose to be happy in this moment. Choose to be happy with your life. Choose to be happy with what you have. It is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Secret number 2 is learning to let go. Just let go. There's so many things that we attach to. There's so many things that we hold on to. So many likes and dislikes. Oh, I didn't want to eat this, or I didn't want to eat that, or I didn't want it in blue, I wanted it in red. Things that make us suffer for days, weeks at a time, right? For something so minute, okay? Learn to let go. Just say to yourself, is this really important? It's not important at all. I choose to be happy. You go back to secret number 1. I choose to be happy in this moment. It doesn't matter. It's not gonna change my life if I don't eat this versus the other, if I got it in red instead of blue or whatnot. Okay, learn to let go. Just simply let go of whatever happens to you that is really not detrimental to your, physicality, or is not harmful to you in any way. Just let it go. Probably one of the hardest things for us to let go is what other people think of us. It is a huge one in our society. It's almost like impossible to do, right? I remember reading a book that my dad recommended. It's called The 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. And I'll have a link in the description for you if you're interested in checking it out. And in these 4 agreements, agreement number 2 says, do not take anything personally. And it goes on to explain, why we do it, why we care so much, and also, what happens when we actually let go of it. That statement just stuck with me, and I work at it. Since that day, that's probably like 10 years ago when I read this book. And to this day, I work at it, right? It's something super ingrained in our minds. And by the way, I talk about it at length in my other video, how to have more confidence. And I have a link up here for you to check it out a little later. It is something that if we could just let go, it would free up so much mental anguish, so much anxiety, so much, anger and jealousy and envy and all this stuff, right? Because we wouldn't be acting, we wouldn't be doing or even thinking about what other people think of us or what other people's expectations of us are. Okay, imagine if you could just eliminate that, if you could just let go, if you could just like agreement number 2 says, do not take anything personally. People don't do anything because of you. As a matter of fact, everything that people do has everything to do with what they believe, who they are, their own insecurities, and they're just projected on you. If somebody yells at you on the street, does that have anything to do with you? I mean, that person doesn't even know you, right? And you will never see that person again. So how is it that someone, just words, sounds traveling in the air, have such a huge impact in your life? It's because of the meaning that you're giving that situation, those words, the meaning, the programming that says, how is it that this person could say these things to me? Your ego getting involved and so many other things happening. Imagine if you could just let go of that. I'll give you an example of how this concept has helped me in my own life. And it's a very common example, I guess a lot of us go through this, and it's driving, right? I used to be that type of person who would get so mad if somebody cut me off, or if I saw somebody flying down the street and putting people in danger or whatever because they were reckless in how they were driving. I would just follow them and beep at them and flip them off or whatnot, right? And one day I realized that person, whatever they're doing, they're cutting me off I don't really know what's going on in that person's mind. That person doesn't know me. I will never see this person ever, ever, ever again in my life. How can I feel whatever they're doing is so harmful to me inside? How is it that all these feelings are being generated from within, this anger, towards this person that I don't even know? I don't know what they're going through. Maybe they have an emergency. Maybe they really need to get over it because that was the exit that they needed to take and whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is that by not letting go of that, I am literally giving control to whoever does that to me, over my feelings, my cool, right? I would lose my cool every time somebody did that. One day, I decided that could not be the case anymore. I was choosing my response to these triggers. So that's what I'm asking you to do, to start choosing your response to these triggers. Whenever something happens that makes you lose your cool or create some type of feeling of sadness or anxiety within you, look at that for a moment and realize what it is and what it's actually doing to you. It's not killing you, it's not harming you in any way. It's just the way you're perceiving the situation, how you are reacting to it in a certain way that is completely automatic. You almost have you do have control over it, but it feels like you had no control over it as it was happening, right? You just reacted to it because you've always reacted that way. You, at some point in your life, you learn to react that way in order to help you cope with the situation, the trigger, whatever was happening at the moment, okay? So most of these triggers that are automatic, that's what they are. They're learned behaviors that helped us in the past to cope with a certain situation or navigate a certain experience or whatnot. If you consciously look at these triggers and then you go ahead and decide, to have a specific response, whatever response you would like to have instead, that's what you're going to do, okay? Start programming that in your mind. Every time, for example, every time somebody cuts me off, this is how I'm going to react. I'm going to say these things to myself, I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm just going to choose to let it go. I suggest you do this with as many things as possible, constantly. I still do it to this day with new triggers, new things that I realize, because you're not exposed to all these things on a daily basis, right? Sometimes it'll be months between triggers. So this is an ongoing process that you need to be aware of. So every time it happens, you take a moment to look at the situation and then choose a conscious response for the event or the trigger. Nothing can actually make me mad without my permission. And that's the key. Nothing should actually be able to touch you internally. You're changing your feelings, your mood without your permission. Own that and remind yourself of that and let go. Secret number 3 is to be grateful. Be grateful for your life, for who you are, for your health, for the things that you have. Just be grateful. Look at where you are right now and just say to yourself, I am grateful for where I am. I am grateful that I have food on my table. I am grateful that I have a car, that I have a home, that I have a job. I am grateful for my health, that I'm alive, that I feel great on a daily basis, that I have so much going for me, that I have all these gifts. Feel grateful for the fact that you can go for bigger and better if that's what you decide, that you can set goals and achieve them because you have done that a lot. Just look at your life. And being grateful is a little different than secret number 1, which is, to choose to be happy. Choose to be happy. You're consciously deciding to be happy, whether, you're going through something good or bad. Okay, you're choosing to be happy in the now and the moment. Being grateful is more about everything in your life at even a spiritual level. Okay, the fact that you're alive, that you have given the gift of life. Be grateful that you're here, that you have the possibility to experience life, to go through life, to go and talk to people, to walk around, to just see places, to hear music, to just be grateful for all these things that give you what you have right now, which is life. Just be grateful. So let me recap for a moment the 3 secrets for you. Number 1, choose to be happy. Tell yourself on a daily basis, if you can, twice a day, morning and night, I choose to be happy in this moment. I choose to love my life. I choose to love what I have. I choose to love my relationships. I choose to be happy this very moment, okay? Like I said before, it doesn't take long until all these things start clicking in your head and becoming a regular pattern of thinking, okay? 3 to 4 days, believe me, if you do it morning and night, morning and night, morning and night, after 3 to 4 days, you will start seeing how all these thoughts start popping in your head in the middle of the day, okay? All of a sudden you encounter a certain situation and you have an opportunity to choose what your thought is about the situation, whether it's good or bad, and you're like, okay, here it is. I choose to be happy. Secret number 2, let go. Let go of your need for things to work out the way you want them to work out. You know that in life, sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to work out, right? That it's just part of life. let go of the outcome. Don't allow it to make you miserable. I'm not saying settle for it and just leave it alone. I'm saying don't allow it to make you miserable in the moment until you work towards getting the outcome that you want. So please just let go of that need. And secret number 3, be grateful. Be grateful for your life, for who you are, for what you have, all the resources that are available to you right now. You know, the books, the internet, your phone, your car, your job, everything that you have right now should be a reason to be grateful for. So don't miss what's happening around you, you know, because your mind wants you to focus on what's missing. Once you begin this process of choosing consciously to be happy in the moment, to let go of your need for things to work out the way you want them to work out, and to be grateful for everything that is happening to you in this very moment, that's when, if you start applying these concepts, new things will start showing up in your life, because new thinking leads to new actions, and these new actions will get you new results that were not there for you before. These new results are going to start reinforcing these new ideas in your head, and it creates this cycle where, you know, the new programming starts taking place on a regular basis, and you get positive results from it. So there's a feedback mechanism there. And also at the same time, because you have these new behaviors, this new way of thinking, this new way of acting, etc., the old beliefs start just dissolving and disappearing because they're no longer valid or useful for you in your life. Hope you got a lot of value from this talk today and that you learned a thing or two. And if that's the case, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to be notified next time there's a new video available. In the meantime, go check out these 2 videos right here. I'm sure you'll get a lot of value from them. Till next time, I wish you all the best. Let's get out there and start changing lives, one session at a time. See ya.